Album Deluxe Editions. Is it worth it? For the artists and the labels, probably. But for the fans, not so much. What's good, people? My name is Mo, your friendly neighborhood music head, and we back. It's been a minute since the last video, and I know it's been a while, but damn it, we're here and we're better than ever. So, let's get started. So I'm sure you guys have seen the latest trend of rappers and labels putting out the deluxe edition of everybody's albums. So whether it's somebody like A Boogie with the Hoodie, Moneybagg Yo, whether it's G Herbo, Lil Durk, there seems to be this trend of these artists not only just repackaging the initial project and just throwing a couple additional songs on there like it used to be, they're putting out whole new projects under the umbrella of what the big release for the year was. So the question is, why? So for this vid, I'm going to be focusing on three major things. A little brief history on what the deluxe edition of a project even is, what this trend has turned into in the midst of this current pandemic, and where I kind of see an issue for things going forward. But without further ado, let's just get this show right on the road. Now, deluxe editions are nowhere near new. It's been a gimmick in the music industry for decades now. And it's not only exclusive to just music. You can look at movie and TV shows, how they'll have the collector's edition or special edition of certain movies and series. But when it comes to music specifically, you have an album after maybe 6 to 12 months, if it's been a popular release, they're going to put out the deluxe. It'll come with a couple exclusive content things, just specific things from the artist, from the producers who worked on it to kind of make it feel special on a re-release, so to speak. And dozens of classic albums, especially in the 90s and 2000s, have had their deluxe editions. You can look at D'Angelo with Brown Sugar in like 95 and Erykah Badu with Baduizm in 97, where you're going to get a couple additional mixes in the track list, a couple additional remixes. You might get an acoustic version of specific songs that already existed on the album. You'll get a new cover art. You might get a lyric booklet inside. Just little things to make it feel a bit special on the next go around of maybe a anniversary release of a project. So why did labels do this? Because they wanted to squeeze the life out of these albums. If you had an artist who, say, had a very loyal fan base and was very profitable with an album's release, they wanted to try to maximize the amount of money they can make. So a deluxe edition is just an easy revenue stream from an already existing product. It makes sense. There was also this point around 2011, like 2014 era, right before music streaming really took off, when album sales were really low. So labels were doing anything they possibly could to incentivize people to go out and still buy these physical copies. This was the era of deluxe editions, but specifically store exclusives. So for example, Kendrick Lamar, he had Good Kid Mad City, and there was an exclusive deluxe edition that Target was selling. So the song County Building Blues and the Black Hippie remix to Swimming Pools, they were exclusive to the deluxe edition you can get at Target. So if you were a diehard fan, oh cool, you get to go out of your way and just try to collect as many different copies in stores as you can, but for a regular consumer, you're not trying to go all the way out of your way to have the full listening experience. But the typical trend leading up to now is you release an album, and after a period of time, you come out with the new deluxe edition, and it'll have a couple additional songs that didn't make the cut initially, or even songs that were recorded after the album was even put out. Lana Del Rey did this back in 2012 when her album Born to Die was released, and about I think 8 or 9 months afterwards, it was later on that year where she came out with the deluxe edition. But it was really an expanded edition called The Paradise, and it came with like 8 additional songs. So this new version of the album went back onto the billboard charts and sold a decent amount of copies. It sold well considering it's a deluxe edition. Her fans enjoyed it. Beyonce did this with her self-titled album in 2013. She waited a year until the 2014 one-year anniversary to put out the Platinum Edition. It had like 4 remixes, some of the songs weren't even out yet, and 2 songs that were recorded after, one of which being 7-Eleven, the club anthem for the following months. And if you bought it in stores, there was this box set edition with like DVDs of the tour that she went on and some additional CD content, additional video content, all things to make the re-release feel more special. My point in highlighting these artists is to show you that deluxe editions are pretty common, and they have been for all these years. But what's happening right now in 2020 is just a bit different. It feels like everything with deluxes this year really started with Lil Uzi Vert. He had been teasing Eternal Atake for at least 2 years now, and it finally had its big release on March 6th. Early in the morning too, not even the midnight of the Friday. And it was great. Fans had been clamoring for it, and it ended up shooting to #1 on the Billboard charts. But Lil Uzi wasn't done. Literally the following Friday, he drops the deluxe edition for the album. And it wasn't like it was just a couple additional songs like normal deluxes are. It was a whole new album. It was called Eternal Atake Deluxe Lil Uzi Vert versus the World 2. And it was an additional 14 songs to the initial 18, so it was just a whole lot of Uzi. And nobody had ever really seen this before, at least since Future dropped Future and Hendrix, but even that, those were 2 different albums. Uzi put this all on one project, so it kept the hype going and it stayed at #1 the following week. We could also look at Lil Baby. In February, he puts out My Turn, which really propelled him into the mainstream act that he's become. And just, 2 months later, he puts out the deluxe edition in the middle of a pandemic on May 1st. And this was 6 additional songs tagged onto the album. And there's also Nav. While his lack of personality and talent essentially make his voice sound like a dying squid, you can't really deny that the label really knows how to sell his projects. In the midst of this pandemic, Nav puts out Good Intentions on May 8th. It was his new album, follow-up to Bad Habits, and literally just 3 days later, he drops the deluxe edition, which was an additional 14 tracks to the already 18 tracks. And all that music helped him get to that #1 Billboard spot for the week. Artists that I named before are definitely capitalizing off of this deluxe tactic. I mean, A Boogie with the Hoodie, Pierre Bourne, The Weeknd. I think Janae Aiko is also going to have a whole deluxe project come out by the time I even upload this video. But the question is, why the quick deluxe? Lil Baby is signed to Quality Control, known as QC. And Billboard spoke to Pierre P. Thomas, who's the CEO of QC, and spoke directly about Lil Baby's project. He explained that My Turn saw so much commercial success that they were going to capitalize off it all with headlining shows and touring like artists regularly do in the summer. But because of this pandemic, we literally have no idea when shows are coming back. They needed to find a new way to capitalize off the hype. So Lil Baby had been recording during the pandemic. They got a few songs, put it all together, and put out the deluxe. So here's where my issue comes in. With touring being such a huge chunk of revenue for a lot of these artists, I definitely understand where an artist and a label are definitely trying to capitalize off of anything they possibly can right now because money's tight. And my issue here is compounded, but one of the main parts of it is this is just a lot of music, man. I mean, look at Chris Brown. He's become legitimately notorious for the excessive amounts of music that he puts out. And he puts out Heartbreak on a Full Moon in 2017. This was Halloween. And literally Christmas time comes and he drops Heartbreak on a Full Moon, Cuffing Season, 12 Days of Christmas, the deluxe edition for the already 45 songs, making it now a 57-track album. You're lying to yourself if you say you listened to all of that. And he goes on to do the same thing with Indigo. Just this past year, he puts out, I think, 34 songs for the double disc of Indigo, and comes again with the expanded version of the album, making it 44 tracks. You're lying if you're saying you legitimately listened to it all. That's a lot of Chris Brown, man. And this excessiveness isn't exclusive to Chris. I'm not trying to hear 14 additional G Herbo songs. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not doing all that. I'm not listening to 9 more A Boogie tracks on an already 20-track album. There's too much music coming out right now. I'm not going to be sitting down listening to all of this. However, if it's an artist that you really do enjoy, I can understand where you sit down and listen to all 30, 40 tracks. The problem is, a lot of the times the deluxe edition, it just isn't that good. Sure, art is subjective, but I've yet to see anyone say that Eternal Atake, the deluxe edition, is anywhere near as good as the original Eternal Atake. It's just more music. And for example, I love Pierre Bourne's The Life of Pierre 4, but that new album he put out, the deluxe edition, is really just a new project. It doesn't really build off of anything from the initial release, even though there are some great tracks on there. But if anything, it just takes away from what made that album special by adding all these additional tracks to it. Sometimes things are just kind of perfect the way that they are. And I understand that it's a pandemic, and labels are trying to bring in as much money as they possibly can during these hard times. And I fully understand that, like I said before. But the problem is, maybe I'm speaking for myself here, but it can come across like they're taking advantage of our love as fans. I mean, giving us half-assed deluxe editions because they know we'll eat it up. We want good quality art, not convenient content. So I'll be waiting to see if the Jhené Aiko deluxe edition for that album is good or not, because I don't have time to be wasting on another marketing scheme right now. With touring not coming back anytime soon, sadly, these deluxe editions are likely going to be here to stay for a while. So hopefully the practice gets refined and maybe we don't keep getting all these long albums with even longer deluxe editions. So that's all I got for this video. I say that's all I got, like this isn't probably a long ass video, but thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you for making it this far. If you're still here, comment. I'd love to discuss things with y'all. If you agreed or disagreed with anything I said, if I was inaccurate, if you freaking love deluxe editions and I'm the weirdo, if you absolutely hate them, let me know. Like and subscribe, that'd be great. And follow me on Twitter, at Mo_the God, and follow me on Instagram. I just made one for my music thoughts, at Mo_the music head. I'll put it in the description below because you're probably not sitting there writing this down. So yes, appreciate all the love. Thank y'all. Peace out.